But I mean, it's just like the numbers compared to like the wallets of any bank. I mean,
Yeah.
it really has, and in particular, the amount of money being made per customer. So it's not just that it's a person-to-person transfer app, the fact that you've gotten into payments, now people are using it for investment in crypto and whatnot. The value of per customer is a multiple of what it is of other digital wallets and bank wallets. And so it's transformed kind of thing. I think it's also reflected in some of the expectations on Coinbase as Square has demonstrated the value of having a digital wallet customer. And I've seen figures that have suggested that as high as a $20,000 value per customer over the lifetime of a customer. And I think Square is doing things like, people are getting direct deposit of their payrolls into Square, and it's really become not just a P2P transfer, but it's become a real payment method as well. And it's not just servicing yuppies and millennials. It's hit like and been popular in Trump country as well. I mean, it's been a really broad-based phenom. And again, I'm just so surprised. Like I was long gone from Square, and I'd always wanted to see something like that. And my gosh, the wave came late, but it came big.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Yeah, I mean, I think the I can't speak to the numbers and the values. I think like all I would say is a lot of the potential is still ahead.
So that's interesting. I mean, already just Square as a company now has 10x the value of Western Union, 100x of MoneyGram, and so I'm not sure people have gotten the perspective. Like PayPal now and Square together are worth as much as any major, like as much as any major bank in the United States. The valuation is just. I remember when eBay bought PayPal, and now PayPal is worth 8 times what eBay is worth, and so. The numbers here are crazy. And I guess was there when you folks were there, like it seems like the Square wallet now gets more attention than the merchant side of the business. Was that a conscious objective, or did it just kind of sneak up on you guys?
I mean, I think there's like a couple factors. Like one of them is the team at Cash App still, like, and have worked with Brian, is insanely ambitious. So I think that's just true. Like, however you slice it, I don't think Brian, and certainly not me when I was there or anybody else there, ever thought of what we were doing as Square's second act. It was definitely like, we're trying to build a world-class / best-in-class consumer financial product for everyone on the planet. And so you can argue about whether they've executed on that or whether they'll be able to execute against that, but that's the goal. And there's no way that doesn't end up being massive. I think a second thing that really is just, if you think of the DNA and roots of Square on the seller side, Square, like, I'll use Square versus Stripe as a juxtaposition because that's kind of the easiest distinction. Stripe is as a mission, increase the GDP of the internet. Square is as a mission, economic empowerment. To the atomic unit of value that a Stripe transaction provides, which is exchanging a credit card like kind of anywhere, requires much less activation energy, and it is inherently growing much faster than two people in the real world interacting around a card. And so if you just like think of the effect of that when shelter in place hits, people in the real world interacting probably dropped last year to an all-time low as a percentage of human interactions in the history of humanity.
Right.
Maybe, with the exception of during the plague, like I don't know if it's ever been, if the percentage of in-person interactions relative to total interactions has ever been as low as it was last year, which meant Square's core business, which relies on humans in the real world interacting around a payment, there's just no, like, they would just have to like dig out of this massive hole to get out of it. And if you think of what the cash business has become, it's P2P, card payments both offline and online, crypto, investing, 3 of those 4 things do not require 2 humans to interact in the real world. And
Right.
so, and if you think of the like sort of defensive dynamic of, at the same time when Square's core business was just hitting that in-person interaction wall, the traditional banking industry, Western Union, MoneyGram, Chase, B of A, imagine for the month last year where shelter in place was like kind of universal across the United States. Basically, there was a month last year when the bulk of new account creation and financial transaction activity shifted from being primarily in person to being primarily online. And Cash App was the #1 finance app in the App Store at the time. So it's just, like the same thing that really put a constraint on Square's core business actually was a massive accelerant for the cash business.